Hello, once again, it's time for that awesome show, the SMC Journal podcast, where we talk about everything related to performance engineering and IT today. I'm really loving today's show because I'm interviewing a longtime friend. And today's title of the podcast is How to Sell Performance Testing. Now, I'm sure there are salespeople who work for various load testing vendors who watch this program on a regular basis. I'm sure all my friends watch every episode all the way to the very end, every time it's released, right? But seriously, everyone at some point when you're doing performance testing, you're trying to realize your value in your company, whether you're an employee dealing with what I would call internal customers, your coworkers, or whether you're actually in sales. I want to talk about how you provide value in selling the proposition, the value proposition of performance testing, because in some cases, we've lost that translation to upper management that says this is still a vital skill set to have in house, performance, and we need to be doing performance testing continuously, not just functional testing, not just automation for automation's sake, but actual true performance engineering as a continuous operation in our company. And we are still seeing hardware thrown at applications that perform poorly, ignoring signs that something is going to perform poorly until we actually get the shock of a high cloud invoice from Amazon or Azure or Google. So I just thought it would be good to get away from the technical for a moment and let's just talk about how you actually sell the proposition, the value proposition of what you do as a performance tester, or if you're actually selling a product or a service. Maybe you're a consultant who does performance testing, or maybe you're a vendor who's selling a performance testing product. How do you show the true value of what you do, regardless of, well, I'm just going to make a quota this quarter or whatever. That's all. If that's all you care about, this probably isn't the episode for you. But if you really want to know how to provide value, that would be the case. Let's bring on my guest. Mr. Brian Copeland, welcome to the
Hey,
SMC Journal podcast today, my friend.
well, hey Scott, how are you today?
I am wonderful. Um, I have known Mr. Copeland, for my viewers, for a very long time, longer than either of us would probably want to talk about. And Brian has been a lot of times a mentor to me personally as well, and he's helped guide me through a lot of decisions. I wanted to have him on the show today because of what he's currently doing and how it ties into our topic today about selling performance testing. So Brian, why don't you tell our audience about
Sure.
yourself?
Hi, Brian Copeland. I am an executive director leading a pre-sales organization called Solutions and Sales Enablement for Tech Systems Global Services. And we are a global $1.16 billion services brand.
Pre-sales. Now, what he didn't tell you was he spent many, many years in the QA realm as QA director, QA architect. This person, Brian Copeland, has forgotten more about QA than most of you viewing will ever learn. I'm being serious. And I've seen him do some amazing things in the realm. So he gets QA, he gets automation, he gets testing, and he gets performance as well. But specifically, why I wanted to bring him on the show was around the pre-sales aspect, because I think this is something that we need to know about when not only you're in a sales position trying to sell software or the concept of consulting with performance testing or performance engineering, but also when you're an employee trying to sell it internally to an organization. And Brian, I'd like for you to talk about that because that seems to be your sweet spot right now.
Yeah, I think, as we look at the whole concept of pre-sales, and Scott's right, I spent a majority of my career in quality assurance in some form. And when I came to tech systems, the big challenge that I saw is when we were supporting the sales, the pursuit lifecycle, we found that we could take a practice architect, somebody who is gifted in performance or automation, and we could send them with a seller on a call. and they could have great technical conversations with the customer, but they didn't do a very good job of connecting to the customer and connecting to their business problem and talking to them at an executive level. So we created a group that was focused on pre-sales, and there were solution architects. Those solution architects were high in IQ, so they understood, in my case, that quality really, really well, or performance engineering really well, or continuous testing really well. But they were also high in EQ, so they had the ability to connect at an executive level to really connect into the business problem the customer was trying to solve. And that was so successful that we then moved to all of the services across global services. So we were able to build a team of solution architects, solution executives, transformation leaders, and then an enablement group that focuses on making sure that the materials we use to connect with customers are just as polished as the conversation that we have with them.
So walk me through this. If you are, let's kind of split them up. I've got three areas I want to talk about. The first is you're a consulting organization, which Tech is a services organization. What is the most important thing for a pre-sales person to be focused on and think about when they're working with sales on, I guess, a sales cycle?
Yeah. So the you it's really understanding what motivates the seller. The seller is motivated primarily, and not all sellers. So I don't want to make a deep generalization, but a lot of sellers are motivated by speed to commission. How do I sell something that gets me to a commission the fastest way possible? That doesn't necessarily translate into value for the company, right? It may be value for that seller, but not necessarily value for the company. The pre-sales engineer really needs to understand who their primary constituency is. And their primary constituency is the practice or the capability or service area that needs to actually deliver that service. So the way that I put it is pre-sales supports sales, but they serve the practice. And so it's really understanding that the solutions that you build need to not only delight the customer and provide them the outcome they're looking to get to, but it also has to be something the practice can actually deliver and deliver well. And so with pre-sales, you're not focused on the speed to commission, you're focused on speed to value.
How would that be different if you were moved over to a software vendor and now you're selling a product, not a service? Does it change? Does the mode of
Yeah,
thinking
and
change?
it doesn't, it changes slightly, and it does change some, because when you're talking about a product, very often it's a take it or leave it, right? You're buying this product, how much of the product you need, how many licenses you need, that's all variable, and you have to design that based on the customer landscape and context. Where the difference comes in from my perspective, because I've done both, where the real difference comes in is in product selling. The customer is buying the demo. They're buying what they saw you as the solution engineer, what you demoed to them, and their assumption is that's what they're getting. So you as the solution engineer now need to focus on helping the customer understand what it looks like to buy the box of Legos versus what they can have when they assemble the Legos in a meaningful way. So your job becomes really helping them envision what they could have with that product.
What are your thoughts around now? Let me take it into my realm where I know there's a lot of load testing vendors who watch this, and they, we feature all different brands, but from a pre-sales perspective, what if you get caught in this loop with your sales cycle where it's a us against them? Oh, our product is the same as that product, it's just cheaper or whatever. And to me, that's just sort of a race to the bottom. How do you get out of that? And what are your thoughts around that? And then how do you get out of that loop?
Yeah, no company ever made themselves better by making others smaller. Um, you make yourselves better by offering a differentiated experience for your customer. And that comes in two ways. One, in the capabilities that your product offers to that customer. What can they do with your product that differentiates you and produces meaningful value for them? Helps them have better insights to their business, helps them make better business decisions. And then two, how do you differentiate yourself in the experience that customer has with your company? Those are the two ways you differentiate yourself. You'll never differentiate yourself by saying, I'm better than the other guy, I'm cheaper than the other guy. Because you're right, that is a race to the bottom. And when you commoditize your product, now it just becomes about price, not value.
I completely agree. I hope there are people listening to this because I think that's an important thing to note. All right, so let's switch over to, well, I'm just a person who does load testing inside of a company, but I don't necessarily feel like what I do is valued in my company. I think we need more performance testing. We have problems that are slipping through the cracks still. We still have Black Friday events. How do I sell what I do and make that important and get visibility in the company? How do I sell myself and my performance service to the company internally?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's always a challenge. There's all kind of cultural things you have with inside of a company, and how do you get recognition for the value your team can be? My recommendation would be to treat your internal stakeholders as a customer. Treat them like you would an external customer. With an external customer, you have to build a business case. You have to have a compelling reason to talk to them. So take the information you can gather about your organization, a Black Friday issue, a performance challenge that's causing them to have waste in their support system or their operations, and use that as a way to bring light to it in a way that says, hey, here's the issue, but I have a way for us to be able to address that. Don't just show problems. You better have a solution that says, here's how I can help you do this. And I'm excited to be able to help you identify and resolve these issues. It's a marketing. You're a brand ambassador, whether you believe it or not, all the time in how you approach others and how you represent your capability area. If it's performance engineering, how you represent it. If you're a negative Nancy and you're always up there telling them the sky is falling and you're just going to be that noisy person nobody wants to listen to. But if you come and say, look, I've done some analysis, here's where I'm seeing some issues, here's some things we can do, and you're bringing real solutions to the table, people would be foolish not to sit up and take notice. But it's all in how you present it. Write a white paper, an internal white paper that can be shared that says, here's my analysis, here's the things I've found. Do a lunch and learn. Get some people to come and market it. You want the best organization is a draw organization. When people want to come to you instead of you pushing it upon them, give them a compelling reason to come to you.
Yeah, when we were doing the whole Center of Excellence thing in the early 2000s, that was what it was all about.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people lost focus on that because I guess the COE kind of escaped some of them and they couldn't keep it under control. But that was really what it was all about. You were doing something so well that people just said, "Hey, what's that guy doing over there? Because I want some of that." Because they were seeing success in some areas, and like I've heard you say in the past, nothing breeds success like success, right? And so
That's right.
when people see something positive going on and they're seeing value, especially business value going on, it's an attractant. So people flock to that. So
Yeah, and another thing is nothing causes change like a problem.
that's right.
Take advantage of those problems when you see them as opportunities to bring a different solution to bear and to leverage those not as a negative event for the company, but as an impetus for change and improvement, and be excited about the improvement that you can bring. You come with a positive attitude, that'll get you a whole lot farther than this place just sucks. Our code just sucks, right? Now, I will tell you, the whole role of quality is to release the pent up suck in an application. But hey, that's a whole different topic.
Yeah, and that would be a much longer episode from this side, let me tell you. So no, this is great. If you had to leave with one piece of parting advice, or is there one important thing that you want to get across that people in pre-sales, whether they define that as their title or not, or people that know, something you may want to say?
Yeah, I will tell you the most important thing for a pre-sales person to understand is the customer journey from their perspective. And I'm not talking about the customer journey in the way they buy software or the way they buy, which sales, when you talk customer journey, they think in terms of how the customer buys from you. What I'm talking about is the journey the customer's on, whether that's an enterprise modernization journey and they're trying to modernize their enterprise, whether it's a digital transformation journey, it could be a business agility journey. Understand the journey they're on and how what you have to offer fits into that journey, because they have to consider all of those things and they likely have not considered them all. And you're in a great position to advise and become a trusted advisor to them. That's the best sales strategy ever, is when they come to you and say, hey, what would you do? And you're able to say, well, if I was in your seat, here's the way that I would approach it, because you understand their journey and what they're doing. It's the best sales strategy out there.
Completely agree, and that's what I try to be anytime I'm working with an organization, whether I'm just doing a simple performance test or whether I'm providing some other kind of advisement to them, is to be the trusted advisor, and that's worked out very well. So, Brian, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. We really appreciate it.
Anytime.
We'll see you soon.
All right.
So if you didn't get anything else out of that, two things that I heard was no company ever made themselves better by making another company look smaller. And the next thing was nothing causes change like a problem. Now, I've got many other Copelandisms that I could tell you that I've learned over the last couple of decades, but we'll save that for another episode. Man, that was great, and I hope those of you that it helped some of you that are watching this. You know, this show is sponsored by some great companies. One of them is Micro Focus, and they have the largest set of performance engineers in their community, which you can join at community.microfocus.com. You can check out their LoadRunner family page and their YouTube playlist of performance engineering at the links that we provide in our show notes. We're also sponsored by Keysight Technologies, the makers of Eggplant Performance. Check them out at eggplantsoftware.com. Eggplant Performance is a load testing tool that supports not only web and API testing, but it also has the Citrix protocol support and other lower level TCP/IP protocol support. They can help you with your application performance testing needs, and they also have real-time monitoring. So if you need to monitor Windows and Linux systems and bring all of that into a results analysis, and just like you would with other load testing tools that are complete, as we always say, analysis is the value add, and Keysight Technologies Eggplant Performance has that. So thank you, both of you, for sponsoring this particular podcast, and of course we got others. And I should probably just throw in Haymaker Coffee. Love you guys. We're gonna be doing this. Yeah. So I've been out on the road for the past 30 days or so in various cities doing different things, and brought a lot of Haymaker coffee with me and gave it away. And I think that's pretty cool that the guys would let me do that. And so if you haven't tried Haymaker, try them. And if you haven't and you like coffee, why not? Why the heck not? When you can go to their site and you can get 10% off of any order, even after your first order, using my code PERF10. So make sure you check them out. All right, so if you want to reach out to me and talk about this kind of content, hope you liked it. I'd like to get your feedback. scottmoore.consulting is my website. There's my LinkedIn profile. Twitter handle is loadtester. And it would be awesome if you would subscribe to the YouTube channel and let me know what you think about these videos. Leave some feedback, some comments. You can also, we can have a conversation. Email me at help@scottmoore.consulting. Would love to hear from you. Thank you, Brian Copeland, for being on today's show. I hope you got a lot out of it. And for this episode of the SMC Journal, this is Scott Moore signing off saying bye-bye.